Hey YouTube, I'm just Anthony. Welcome back to the Mad Monk build guide. This is going to be the 1.1 updated guide for the Mad Monk now that we've got our bossing situation a little bit better. I'm liking it a lot. We added some new tech with an attack skill, primarily Vine Arrow. Since it is chaos damage over time, it is enabling our chaos damage over time build, and it's also enabling our totems to fire even faster than they did before, which is overall giving us an increased boss time. And this was tier 11 maps that I was running today. We finished up our last little bit of tier 12. We did all of our tier 11s, and then we started working on our tier 12s. You see right now it says I'm 2 out of 6 in tier 12s. I did do a bunch of extra tier 11s just because I was trying to get more waystones. Hey, the waystones don't always drop for everybody, and every now and then I do get that unfortunate one shot in a run when I'm not paying attention. We'll cover that though. We're going to be fixing that, but I'm going to show you a little gameplay right now of the boss encounters that we had today with this first iteration of this. We just did this today on stream, but I want to get it out there because it's going to help people, I think, even during the leveling process. I wish I had this in the leveling. So let's jump into the gameplay and then I'll see you right after. Oh, here's the boss. Okay. All right. It is a snake pit lady, if I'm not mistaken. Look at her. She's dead. It works.
For the monastery.
Let's go. Look at his health. Look at his health. Dead. Dead. Almost had it to keep going. No, keep going. I was just running side by side with the explosions. It is the Frost Lady. All right, let's do this. Look at her health. Dead.
Fate is on my side.
We just stay away from her, keep summoning totems and plants on top of her. Good to go. Is this the boss right here? All right. Or just, yep, it is.
My will outlast.
What are we doing here? What the fuck? Works for me. I don't know if it's the first time I think I fought this boss. Yay, tier 11 sustain. Let's go. Y'all can kick rocks. Holy shit. What are we even doing anymore? I gotta turn this off so I can see. Where's the... There he is. I was like, I need to kill this guy. He keeps teleporting around. There, he's dead. Holy shit. I'll reply to that whisper in 1 second. Oh! We can close this now. Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm happy with what we got. Let's go ahead and close that bad boy up. All right. All right, well, there you have it. It increased boss damage, but we still have that nice, juicy wave clear for mapping. That is the strong suit of this character right now, which is nice that not every map has a boss. A lot of your maps are going to just be you clearing the mob packs with the rares, right? And this build excels at that. You can just clear them pretty easily. Mob combinations are a little rough. You get some maps where it's like every type of mob that they put in there is a melee fast moving mob that wants to run right up to us and try to attack us before we can get our abilities out, but that doesn't happen too often. You know, it's pretty funny when it does. Let's move right on in. You see right down here, I just did this for fun, just to showcase the new ability we're using, Vine Arrow. So we still have that Essence Strain, that Contagion, that Despair. We still have that Dark Effigy Totem, but now we have Vine Arrow incorporated into the build. Let's jump into the gems. Gems and skills have changed up a little bit. Going right into it, into the Breach first. This is what's our ascendancy. It's given us our Flames of Chayula. That's the leech for mana, leech for health, and extra damage flames that you run through on the ground. We have Herbalism for increased flasks. Cannibalism, so we get health every single time we kill things. Cannibalism is so strong. 4%, and you're wiping the screen clear of mobs. Cannibalism keeps us topped off a lot. We have Clarity just for the increased mana regeneration, which is coming really in clutch because we have a lot of mana regen now. Going into Despair, we have that Decaying Hex, that Impending Doom, Inspiration, Heightened Curse. Essence Strain, we're using Swift Affliction, Pierce, Intense Agony, Chaos Mastery. Contagion, we're doing that Hinder, Magnified Effect, Chaotic Freeze. Dark Effigy has changed up a little bit. We're doing the Arcane Tempo, the Overabundance for 2, Acceleration for projectile speed, and Controlled Destruction for 30% more damage with hits, but it can't deal crits. We're not really crit based, so I'm actually okay with this. I like the 30% more damage. It's actually been a big boost for us. We moved our persistence down to Vine Arrow for now. Vine Arrow, because we tested it today, there's a lot going on. We only have 3 sockets for it, and we still got to figure out the optimal setup. We have Martial Tempo, Scattershot, and Persistence just for the plants to last a lot longer. So what happens with Vine Arrow is you shoot with your bow and arrow, which we now have a secondary weapon set on our character. We're using Path of Exile's new auto weapon swap system where you can assign an ability to automatically be used. Right here it says incorrect weapon type, but if I use one of these abilities right down here, now that went away, and you can see my character is now holding a bow. So the game auto, but if I want to cast my Chaos Bolt or my Essence Strain and all my other Chaos abilities, it goes back to the wand, and you can set all that up. And if you see right here, it's now off. It's now not usable again, but it doesn't matter. You can shoot. It'll automatically switch for you. I love this system. I hope to incorporate this a lot more with not only this character, but any other builds I use, because I think it's fun that you can have 2 sets of weapons and your character can swap to each one on the fly. Go and cover real quick. last guide we had, we were saying using the Hour of Need or Time in Need, the one that gave you some healing and removed debuffs on your character. We're no longer running that. We're using our spirit to now run Blasphemy. So with Blasphemy, we're using Enfeeble. So that's because we are using Whispers for Doom on our skill tree now. So even though we're still auto-casting Despair, or not auto-cast, self-cast Despair, because we want those big, juicy Despairs. We want all the support traits. I want one more support trait for Despair. Despair is a big boost to our damage. But Enfeeble, we can just use Blasphemy for, and this makes it where any normal magic or rare enemies that come near you are going to deal 26% less damage currently, and then cursed unique enemies deal 16% less damage. Now, Blasphemy does say that the curses have reduced effect, so 42% less effective socketed curses, but on our skill tree, we have increased effect. We have a lot of increased effect. They actually negate themselves out almost to about a 1% difference. So we're still getting, I think I'm getting like 26 or 27% less damage from mobs around me, which is a lot less damage. It's a survivability tool. It's amazing. We're going to talk more about survivability in the gear section, but first let's jump on over to that new skill tree. All right, jumping into the skill tree, some things have changed, but not a lot. Right down here, we still have our ascendancy. We're using Into the Breach with the Lucid Dreaming so we can see those nice Flames of Chayula. I haven't really got my next ascendancy set because I don't really like Sanctum. I don't enjoy it. I know it was bugged. They now in the next patch are going to be patching a lot of fixes for Sanctum with honor damage being way too high. So that's going to be fixed. And the ultimatum, you need a 10 trial ultimatum, a 10 stage ultimatum. And I haven't got more than one of those drop, and I've only attempted it one time. So once we get more 10 charge ultimatums, then I'll probably try to do ultimatum. I dislike both of them currently in their current state. So it's kind of my way of little protesting those a little bit, but we do need these. This one and this one are gonna boost our damage. We need them. I want at least this one so we can be a super tank versus chaos damage would be fantastic. Jumping into the skill tree, similar to what we had last time, I will have a link in the description, but the big changes, we took away the projectile nodes right here. We no longer need them. And we took the projectile nodes up here. There was a lot of pushback with the community not wanting to use this. I used it during leveling and I enjoyed it, but I understand there's a lot of people who don't want it, and they're not wrong with saying that those points can be used on something better. I just enjoyed it for my leveling experience when I was going through the campaign and I had multi-proj for both my Chaos Bolt and my Essence Drain, were both a 50% chance to proj. But I do agree, after thinking about it a lot and going through the skill tree, that those aren't necessary and we can use those skill points for better. And what I mean by that is now we got rid of all of this and we invested into mana and mana regeneration. Holy moly, I do not regret it at all. We have so much more mana, and our mana regeneration right now is just over 200 a second. That it's so nice. I hardly have to use my mana potions, whereas the previous build we were doing in the first monk, we were just chugging mana potions like no tomorrow, like we were dehydrated all the time. So this is the new tree. This tree right here, all mana regeneration nodes, but it has really cool nodes like this one. 50% increased mana regeneration while you are moving. We're always moving. Who's not moving? You're always moving your character. We have this one right over here for increased maximum mana, but our skills cost a little bit more mana. That's okay though, because we have this also right here where we have 3% increased spell damage per 100 maximum mana, which this is a very small buff right now, but it'll definitely come in handy as our gear gets better and better. Intellect, just more overall mana on our gear. The more energy shield we get on on our gear, and that's because we have Eldritch Battery. We're converting all of our energy shield to mana. Remember, a lot of our items are armor energy shield bases, so we had a good amount of energy shield. We had, I think, almost like 500 energy shield. We didn't have great energy shield recharge rate. It wasn't a huge energy shield pool, and overall, when our energy shield went down during mapping, we were never not pushing forward and getting either randomly attacked or hit by more mobs for it to not recharge all the way. I just feel like it wasn't getting full value. And when I converted it to mana, now we almost have 1700 mana with almost 200 or just over 200 mana regen a second just because of this wheel right here. I love it. I can spam all of these abilities like no tomorrow. And then, of course, we got the Whispers of Doom right over here to get those 2 curses. This is the big change from the last time. If you look at the skill tree, everything else is just about the same. We did have a couple of new level up nodes. I came down here and got the Flow Like Water for Dex and Intelligence and attack and cast speed. And then I was going to go up and get all of this skill speed with mana regeneration. And remember, we have skill speed in our main tree right down here. So there's 2 skill speed nodes right there. We can go up here and get this cast speeds right here as well. So some nice cast speed nodes next coming up that are going to give us even more mana regen. So it's 15% mana regen, cast speed, and then right down here we have another 15% mana regen and all skill speed, which skill speed is practically the same thing as cast speed. It's just called skill speed because it affects your attack and your spells, which is nice because now we do have an attack. Vine Arrow is an attack, so we have a spells and attack abilities now. So skill speed's actually pretty nice. Some other tech that we were going over with that we haven't spec'd into, we still have to level up more. We're level 83. The community has been theory crafted, and even all the way up until building this guide right here, we had more conversations. There's other things, especially right here in the middle, that's right off the tree where we're heading. We have slow effect and hinder duration. So it's going to increase the magnitude of the hinder that we already are applying, and it's going to increase the duration. But then also right down here, any targets that are hindered take 30% increased damage. We're always hindering everything. Nothing's ever not hindered with this build. So this is just a free 30% damage with your hits, specifically if you're using something like the totem. Dark Effigy is doing hits, or if you're using a Chaos Bolt on your wand for more damage. Essence Drain still counts as hits for the attacks with Essence Drain, 30% more. There's also the tech up here. Remember, we're freezing with our totems. We have the Chaotic Freeze on Contagion, which is allowing our totems to machine gun damage and freeze targets very quickly. I don't know if you noticed in the footage, every boss we fought got frozen. Every rare we ever fight gets frozen. Everybody gets frozen if they're not dying to the initial wave clear that we have. Over here, we would have 1 dead node, 10% increased cold damage, but then you go down 20% increased freeze buildup, 50% increased damage with hits against frozen enemies. Now, this would only be good, it's 2 skill points, but this would only be good for bossing and taking down rares, because those are the only guys that are actually going to be alive long enough for us to freeze them with our setup when our totems shoot. But if you combine that with the hinder, even on bosses, that's going to give our totems especially another 80% increased damage profile. That's not too bad. Other things as well that we might be working on is getting Hex Blast somehow set up into this build, primarily and only for bossing. We would get all of our dots out, all of our totems out, the Vine Arrow, we would get everything out, and then we would be Hex Blast and cursing in between the like 8 seconds that we have for a free window while all of our other abilities are doing damage. We can then self do damage with possibly Hex Blast and Cursed spamming, since we have so much mana and we can actually use a mana potion during that time as well, and we're just going to have so much. And again, remember, we're investing in more mana regeneration. We possibly can get some on our gear as well, and then that way it's just going to encourage spam even more. The build is coming on nicely. Let's jump over to the gear real quick. I want to talk about some quick recommendation and changes from the previous build, specifically survivability changes. All right, jumping into the gear real quick. Same wand as we had last time on our previous build, just increased damage and some levels to all our chaos spells, a little bit of mana, a little bit of intelligence. This needs to be way better. We need +5 to our spells. We need way more mana on this. More intelligence on this would be great, and cast speed would be insane. And then of course we want grant skill chaos bolt. We really don't want mana drain, but back when I bought this, it was cheap. It was a steal. I got it for just like a couple chaos or a couple exalts. Sorry, I got to use the right terms. I keep thinking of PoE 1, so it's not bad. Focus, I want to move over here. This is the same focus we had last time. I talked about it being part of the build because we were, trying to get more damage. I will not be upgrading this focus with a better focus. What we've been trying to acquire today as far as our currency when we were farming the maps today is I want enough currency because my next item is a shield. Getting to these later tier maps, and I know that there's a patch coming out that's going to be nerfing the damage of the in-game mapping right now. They just announced it. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the patch notes here at the end of the video as well. Some very good patch notes for our build. Amazing patch notes. I'll talk about that at the end, but we're going to be replacing this with a shield. On the shield, what you're looking for is at least 40% block chance. Try to get all the way to 40% block chance, which is going to require you to have a shield with increased block chance. Of course, you're going to want to get that health, that mana, and try to get any resistances that you need shored up. I personally am going to try to get an armor shield, or more so an armor energy shield, because you got to remember our energy shield is being converted to mana, so that would be very nice. I could also do just an energy shield if I can get 40% block and everything else. The one thing I just don't want really is an evasion shield, since we don't really have any investment in evasion at all. Investments we made last time, we have upgraded our boots. We now have that 30% movement speed, more life, more mana than we did before, and chaos resistance, and we put lightning res on it. We upgraded our belt, a bunch of armor, a lot of life, charm effect, more chaos resistance, life regeneration, and reduced flash charges used. We did upgrade our gloves. Both our gloves and our helmet are unfortunately they are armor evasion. I dislike that, but these were super cheap I found on the market. And guys, you got to use stuff. If you find it cheap on the market, I'm talking just a couple exalts or something that you can get from somebody, and it's going to make the build work, go for it. The big thing about these gloves and the helmet that I have is I needed dexterity, and these were the only two cheap items that had a bunch of dexterity on them. And the reason is because our vine arrow and our new bow setup requires a lot of dexterity. So it's got resistances, dexterity, lots of life and mana, and then armor evasion. Same thing with our helmet, armor evasion, life, mana, a bunch of dexterity, a bunch of resistances. You see the key here. This is the new ring we bought, separate from last time. Chaos damage, life, some strength, dexterity again, and then some fire res is implicit. We just needed it again for the dexterity. And then the same armor that we had last time. It's just a really nice armor that we've been using. Same necklaces last time that we were using with those +2 to level of all spell skills. And then the same ring as our last time build as well. Going over, we threw the bow and the quiver on today. I upgraded them while playing today once we found out the build does work. On the bow, things you want to probably look for. I have pretty much one thing on this bow that's helping our vine arrow, and that's the +5 level to projectile skills. Other things you can get is attack speed, so you can actually shoot those vine arrows more quickly. That's just going to free up your character from being locked in an attack animation, so you can get some attack speed on this bow as well. Reduced attribute requirements are also very nice to reduce the overall dex. That's why I had to get so much dex on my gear, is because the skill gem requires a lot, and so does the bow. But remember, you can go with a low level skill gem and a low level bow and still get the dot from the vine arrow. The vine arrow itself just won't do a lot of damage, but it's still going to empower your totems to fire faster, which is always a win. Like, why not have totems fire faster? Over here on the quiver, the main thing on this quiver is +2 level to all projectile skills, and we got a little 26% increased damage with bow skills. That's it. That's it. I don't have anything. Both our bow and our quiver are pretty much just level ups. 7 points total, 5 here and 2 here for our vine arrow, because we just got this set up today. We have so much room to grow and figure out how we want it to work, but I love that we have even more dots to work with. So that is the new setup, guys, that we're working with. Let's jump into the closing and talk about also the upcoming patches to the game that's right around the corner. All right, jumping into the recent patch notes they announced on the community forums, some juicy stuff. One of them was they talked about that they understand their nerfing abilities, but they also want to address that they're going to be buffing abilities. And one of the abilities, or a group of abilities, they said that are going to be receiving enhancements are going to be chaos damage over time abilities, because they feel like they are not performing as well as they should. Amazing, because I feel like they feel really good. I've been performing pretty well. Granted, we're not to tier 16 maps yet, but I also don't have super expensive gear, and I'm already jumping into tier 12 maps and still feeling very comfortable. We were annihilating tier 11 bosses today with no complaints, and again, we don't have great gear. So I'm all for more damage to our chaos damage over time. Give me, please. Chayula wants the disciples. We need it. We need the damage. I'll take it. Some other notable things that they're doing, they're reducing the damage at the higher tier maps from all enemies. I believe they said it's just a little too punishing, which is okay. That's cool. And they're also, I guess, removing the resistances, the resistance reductions that you get at certain breakpoints. I think it was map tier 6 and either like 11 or 13, you actually had a reduction in your resistances again. You got hit again, just like you got hit in your campaign to reduce your resistances. Apparently they removed that, so the moment you hit map tier 1s at the end game, you should be good to go. You don't have to worry about the resistances changing again while mapping. They're changing the amount of chaos damage that enemies do. They said that chaos damage in general should be lowered slightly, I think is what they said. And they're removing the on-death mechanic of the chaos crystals, I believe, and one other on-death mechanic, I think, for one of the explosions, because it's visually not noticeable. Thank you. Like, because I've died so many times to be like, wait, what did I die to? Was there something on the ground underneath all the spells and the corpses and everything else? So there, until further notice, they said they're going to remove that. And also the little chaos balls that get shot from the plants, from the rare mobs that spawn the plants, and they shoot those little orbs. They said those orbs are going to do less damage if they do connect with you. Fantastic as well, even you know, more quality of life. So overall, it looks like they're improving the survivability, which is another reason why we should get a shield even more so, because then we can actually start hopefully tanking a lot of this end game once we have a shield, and once we finish off our chaos node ascendancy to get that maximum amount of chaos. But that covers the patch notes. All right, guys, well, there you have it. That's the new updated quick guide, hopefully, for our Mad Monk, the 1.1 update. We're going to be continuing these updates as GGG makes improvements to the game. They're going to be adding new gems to the game. They're adding new trees on the passive tree, so they're going to be changing the tree and adding gems to the game live while we're playing it. We don't have to wait for a new season of anything. They're going to be doing it as we go, so you can have a skill tree that changes up, but that's okay. One of the things that they said is coming is also the reduced of the gold cost for respecking. It's going to be about 40 or 50% cheaper to respec, so that's pretty nice. Anyways, guys, I'm just Anthony. Thank you for being here. Like and subscribe if this video is something that you're interested in seeing the progression of. Join us on Twitch if you want to watch it live. Also, if you want to give me any advice, our guild is open in game, so if you would like to join the guild, come on by. We'll get you in there. And then that way, even if I'm not online or if I'm not streaming and I'm online, you can still see me and interact with me even in an offline capacity. All right, guys, until next time, I'll see you later. All right, let's fight this person real quick. Oh, God, what the shit are we doing here? What the shit are we doing here? What the fuck is happening? I didn't even get to get into the arena. What the hell is that? What the shit is that? I almost got insta-gibbed walking in up here. The boss didn't do a damn thing. The boss didn't hit me. The boss didn't cast an ability. I got hit by the mobs on the ridge that are throwing down spears. Yeah, I was gonna say stay away from the ledge. But dude, I wasn't even by the ledge. I was up here and they threw it straight across and insta-gibbed me. The chilled ground did screw me over. I couldn't move at all. I was completely just walking in place. Damn it, bro. I need defenses. That's what I'm saying, man. We can't be doing that. We can't be doing that kind of stuff. Nonsense. Nonsensical shit.